Spider-Man No Way Home was one of the most anticipated movies to ever be released. And it is certainly one of the best, funniest, back-breaking movies I've ever seen.
My back! Oh, my back!
And I'm just gonna get this out of the way, and it was no surprise that Andrew and Toby were going to be in it when you saw them walk on screen. Ooh, that was something else. And William Dafoe and Alfred Molina both reprising their roles as the Green Goblin and Doc Ock was just amazing to see on the big screen. And the first thing that I thought when I walked out of that movie theater was, man, I could really use a Lego set from that. But it turns out the only set on shelves from this movie sucks. Who is that? Who is it? This is why I put together my own predictions for sets Lego can do. And coincidentally, my predictions happen to be very similar to this guy, Buzz Brickier, so huge shout out to him for the pictures and everything. And with that said, remember to give me a red by subscribing, or I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye if you don't.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
But seriously, I'm trying to hit 30,000 subscribers, so every press of that red button means the world. Now with that said, let's get into my Lego set ideas. Now our first set will be a $99 bridge battle set. Now this is coincidentally very similar to the one that Buzz Brickier actually designed, which looks really cool. And this is actually the scene where he says,
"You're not Peter Parker."
Now this would be very similar to this Web Warrior set. You got this giant bridge set. It looks really cool, but basically you're losing that upper arch piece, which means you're basically just getting a plain old bridge. But you could do a lot of detailing with it. Again, this model that he's made is absolutely fantastic, as well as all of them, quite frankly. Now, it could just be very similar to that scene. I think, you know, a figure that I'd include would be the MIT lady. I don't know what her name is. But GB in the taxi, I think that would just be a neat little figure. You'd have the car dangling off the bridge. Pretty much the exact same one as, again, that bridge battle. But you're basically swapping out the figures and losing that arch. Now, the figures I would include in this would obviously be the Iron Spider minifigure. I think that would be great. That's a returning minifigure that we've gotten in the 2018 Sanctum Sanctorum. You'd also be getting just Peter Parker in his regular outfit again. That would be really cool. Maybe he could be missing half of his tie. We could also see Dr. Octopus or Dr. Otto Octavius.
Butterfingers.
Obviously, that would be great. That's a no-brainer for this set. That would be probably one of the main reasons to get this one, in fact. Just an easy one to do. Green Goblin would be fantastic.
Itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout.
Would love to see them bring him back. They'd obviously, this one would be exclusively his old appearance, since that's all we saw in the scene, and he didn't really do much fighting. And then also maybe 1 or 2 extras. So maybe you could do MJ, but she wasn't really there. Or maybe you could just have a random extra named Mikter Dajkovic.
Hi. What's hi? Can I spend it?
Now the next set is after all of the new villains just show up out of nowhere, and this would be when Spidey goes to find the other ones, and this would namely be the Sandman and Electro encounter. That's what I'm calling it, because that sounds cool. But this would be a $39.99 set, pretty simple. Now it would basically just come with a bunch of electric wires. I haven't seen anyone concept this, but I think this would be a really cool one, a cheap way to get these 2 villains, and you could maybe have like the Sandman wall, and basically the features would be a fight between Sandman and Electro, and I guess you'd have Spidey included somewhere. You could have like little electric poles and things like that. I know there's not a lot of concept images for this, but you know, it would be cool from the movie. Maybe in terms of minifigures, you could see a thing where Peter like has the phone taped to his chest. I think that would be a cool exclusive one. Add to that black and gold suit that we saw previously, and obviously you'd be getting a new Electro minifigure, which would be fantastic. And then finally, you could get Sandman just in his regular like sandy appearance as a minifigure, and then you could also get him as like a build, like a wall that blocks off the electricity or something along those lines. Now that would be a cool set, but let's get into the next one. The next up would be a pretty fun but simple one. This would be Happy Hogan's apartment. Again, I haven't seen too many concepts for this, but this would be like a 3-story building. I'm trying to think of an example, but the best one that comes to mind is like the old Daily Bugle set, and you could look at that. It would just kind of be like 3 simple levels. All of them would have Happy Hogans. It would just be his entire property. I know he's not the only one living in the apartment, but we're just going to do that for the sake of this Lego set. Now, with that being said, it would say come with like a living room up top. I think like, that would be a fun little penthouse suite. You get a little TV maybe you get a little kitchen, and I think the best thing is if you have Tony's dummy droid that came in the advent calendar, and maybe you could have that building like a little Lego Death Star. That would be kind of like really funny because you get the Lego Death Star and the Lego set. That would just be funny. I don't know how they do it, but they figured it out. And then maybe on the second level, you could have some of that Stark tech that Peter used to help fix the bad guys. I think that would make a lot of sense. And then maybe if you want to go down to the regular level, we could have a reception and maybe even a little explosion feature for a certain sad scene that happens there. Now, the figures I would include with this one are pretty simple. It would be obviously Happy Hogan, Aunt May, Peter Parker in his regular, I guess, appearance. You could have him without the mask, and then you could also see Dr. Octopus since he was repaired here, and also maybe just a regular-sized Sandman. I thought there was a funny scene with him on the couch, and that about rounds it up for this set. Now let's move into basically a sequel set or an additional set where you combine them. It really makes it feel a lot more full. Now, this is a $39.99 set, a Lizard's Escape. Now, this would basically into two trucks. Now, the first truck would be the one that the Lizard was chilling in, just a little U-Haul type thing. I don't entirely remember what it was. But you could have in this, the Lizard. We don't have much of a concept for him. And that would be great in the back. And then you could also have a second car, which would be a Daily Bugle news truck. And this will be where we could finally get our J. Jonah Jameson minifigure.
Was that a dinosaur?
Which would be just fantastic. You get him with the little hat and everything. That would be just great. Now, the minifigures in this would be pretty simple. You get the Lizard, J. Jonah Jameson, and then you could also get the Green Goblin, because again, this is a set that goes alongside that Happy Hogan's hotel, so he could, I guess, blow up the lobby, which is depressing. But yeah, let's get into my most hyped up set idea. Now, this one I originally had as like a $350 style set, much in the style of like the Daily Bugle. The problem is there isn't just enough figures, and there isn't really enough you could do with this to make it worth it. Now, there are three models I'm basing this off of. There was this amazing model designed on Instagram that has been going around a lot.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
Huge shout out to Brick and Brix for this just beautiful model, but I don't think it's really what they do. I think they do something more along the lines of, say, the Lego Movie 2 Apocalypseburg set, which, by the way, looks epic. And it's really interesting because that one actually kind of has scaffolding and, like, buildings around it, like this one, but obviously the custom model based off of the movie is the best, again, designed by Buzz Brickier. So it would be somewhere in between the Apocalypseburg and this set. Now, again, it would come with all that scaffolding, all that beautiful design, and again, you guys, I know, are most excited about the minifigures, but in terms of features, you could have things like, you know, the shield dropping, or maybe you could even have like just the scaffolding in the back. I think it would be really cool for a $200 set, maybe even $250. They could really nail it down. And now let's get into the figures. You guys, I know that's what you're waiting for. Now, first up, the main figure you have obviously here is the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man. I have to be specific, the Tom Spider-Man. This one obviously looks just fantastic. You could have like him all scarred up and everything from that battle, because he was scarred up in that battle. Next up, obviously, guys, Tobey Maguire.
Pizza time.
Oh, this would be fantastic. You obviously have to give him the regular, you know, Spider-Man hood or whatever, as well as a face print. You can't do it without the face print. It's just gotta have it. And that would just be great. I'd love that. And then obviously Andrew Garfield.
Man's an imposter. That man is the imposter.
Again, same type of deal as Toby. You could have their old regular suits from their movies, and you could maybe have them with a hairpiece and everything. Now, here are the villains. Obviously, the first obvious one is the Green Goblin.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
You could get him in his new appearance in the movie. I think that would look good. I think it would just be swell. You know, you get him with his glider, you get him with his pumpkin bomb or whatever. That would be great. Then you also do get Dr. Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus. I think that would be cool. Very nice. And then you also do get Electro. That's a no-brainer. Again, this is basically a villain pack. You're guaranteed all of them in this set. And I think it's nice and makes it nice and easy. Now, next up, you are getting Sandman. Now, there's kind of a weird way for people to do Sandman, as well as the Lizard, because you want to get both of their appearances, and it's very hard to do that. So I figured we'll split the baby, and since it is actually, like, you know, a big, expensive set, they could do this. Now, you first off, obviously, have the Lizard and Sandman in their regular appearances, like human appearances. Once they are cured, I think that works well. You could just tuck them away in a area in the set until, I guess, they're fixed. And then you also obviously do want to get a Lizard figure. I think, honestly, it would be worth it for them to do a full brand new Lizard mold. I think that would be very cool. Dr. Connors, again, great, cool dude. And then the other characters are pretty obvious. We get MJ, which looks great. This Buzz Brickier design just looks fantastic, as well as Ned. That would be cool. And, of course, the one that would be a no-brainer, Doctor Strange, again, with all his special boxes that, you know, contain spells or whatever, so that way they could send them all back. I don't know. That would be pretty cool in my opinion.
Please,
Scooby-Doo this crap.
Now the final thing I would do is a polybag set. Now we did recently get revealed a Bridge Battle polybag that everyone was disappointed by because it was based off of the Spider-Man Far From Home movie, but I think we could get something along those lines, but with the new movie. Now this would be Spidey's new suit. I don't know what we call this. Maybe you can make this like a Christmas time polybag. They could release this in November, and they could build a little Christmas tree because he did swing around New York around with that. So maybe we could just see that, or maybe, you know, we get a whole advent calendar of Spider-Man stuff and they could include the new suit in there, but I just want to see the new suit in Lego. And quite frankly, there's no other really way you could do it other than doing a polybag or some sort of minifigure series. So I think that would work really well just to see that new Spider-Man suit. And yeah, it's great. Now, with that said, I want to know your guys' full thoughts on the movie, as well as my predictions or set ideas for what they could do with this movie. There's so much they could do. I hope they honestly do a whole wave of it. But with that said, I will see you all in the next one. Again, remember to hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, turn on the bell to stay tuned for all my other uploads. Hey, if this does well, maybe I'll do a second one. We'll have to wait and see. With that said, I'll see you all in the next one. Remember to peace out, and stay awesome.
Cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?